Guro Jee Choi here of Floro Fighting Systems. I wanted to talk to you guys about, or show you guys this particular blade. This is a recent requirement. This is my brother Laci Szabo's old school original, the Jaws, crafted by Mr. Perrin. For those of you who know me, my first Szabo blade, many think that it was the UUK, but actually it was the Jaws, and it was by a maker whose name that we won't mention here for obvious reasons. But what made me fall in love with this particular blade design is the ease of use and ease of sharpening, and its super ridiculous capability to actually perform greater in cutting and thrusting than most of the blades. Now, back then, I didn't have Floro Fighting Systems or Calisto Lustrissimo training, or essential Calisto Lustrissimo as we practice here in FFS. So I didn't really fully execute the capability of this knife, let alone appreciate the blade design. Because of the Wharncliffe, for those of you who do not understand the whole blade terminology, a blade shape such as this is called a Wharncliffe, also known as the sheep's foot. It is a flat grind. The beauty of that, it allows you to, if you're a user, you could easily sharpen this up. Not to mention, well, depending on how you sharpen it, but I typically do a more hamaguriba-like sharpening, so this is much easier to sharpen. But what's so devastating about this is Mr. Michael Janich of NBC explains this probably the best, better than I ever will. How he explains it is that once it makes contact with the blade, as you pressure forward, it drags all the connective tissue and material onto the blade all the way to the tip. Personally, I just found it that anytime when I was doing any test cuts with these, it just would cut beautifully. So, clean cut, I always been a big fan of it. The beauty of Mr. Perrin's designs is that one, they just feel different in the hand. I mean, it just fits comfortably. And my old Jaws actually had the handle almost all the way to the choil, almost covering that. But this particular handle that only comes up to here, leaving my index finger tap bit more freely, I found that this to be very much to my liking, especially when executing FFS and essential Calisto Lustrissimo techniques. So personally, it has changed my mind, and I absolutely adore this. And I'm just like really happy that I managed to acquire another one of these. But man, it's like right now, as you all know, I'm currently in the limbo. I don't know which path I'm going to be taking for my career, so we'll see how that goes. But man, it's like if the path allows me to hang on to this, I would absolutely love this to actually be my EDC blade if permitted and where permitted, just because it just works. Now, thrusting capabilities with a Wharncliffe, many don't understand this. With a Jaws, Laci designed this extremely well. He put a slight false edge on the top to allow for it to generate deeper penetration. And if you use EKI techniques, like technique number 2, this will, like 1 is a cut, 2 is a thrust. This is going to penetrate extremely deep onto the target and the tissue. And the blade length is only about, give or take about 3.5 inches. That's still enough, especially the way I execute my techniques nowadays, to actually reach the organs, which, as Uncle Jim often says, is the stop switch on a human body. Hey, Uncle Jim, how's it going? Hopefully everything's well. But this blade, my God. I had some of you guys ask me, well, it doesn't have a double edge, so technically, I'm not even a big fan of double edges anymore, just because if I really need to do edge in reverse grip, all I need to do is just turn the blade inward, and this actually still works. I can still execute that. So I have no problem in executing classical Picard techniques, as well as just executing techniques just from forward, as we know how to do. And I have no problem in using either one of them. And this grip actually, I always say this, but my brother Laci Szabo is a genius when it comes to blade designs. So this allows me to facilitate any grip that I need, whether that's forward grip, edge normally forward, inward. And for those of you who don't understand, why would you want a fork grip with edge in a worn clip like this? If you've seen Mr. Craig Douglas, aka Self-Narc's blade designs, like the clinch pick, I could even modify the sheath for that particular technique using this. Pulling it out and simply inserting it to whatever that needs to be cleared and just shearing that and go into it. Also, because of the blade design, I could easily execute my teacher, Master Raymond Floro's Floro Fighting Systems underhand knife method with this particular blade. And believe me when I say, oh my god, if you actually manage to do window wiper with this, yeah, the hand's gone. You don't have to worry about that much. That's going to be out of the action. So many techniques that can be applied with this particular blade, and I absolutely adore it. So, is it still available or from Laci? Not at the moment, but what I would suggest is contact Laci and ask if he'd be willing to do like a sprint run of these. Because personally, as y'all know, my favorite blade of all time when it comes to my brother Laci Szabo's designs, obviously it's the UUK Vampire. That's my favorite. I mean, that's my baby. The one that I would usually, show for illustration and demonstration. And if there's a war, that's the blade that I want with me, because I can use everything in Floro Fighting Systems and Essential Calisimo with that particular blade. This is what I say is perfect for everyday carry with a good kydex or leather. You can pretty much use this for whatever you need. At the same time, sharpening it is so much easier for maintenance. It's like, oh god, I love this compared to try sharpening and maintaining a good edge on a buoy. It's not as easy as you think. I mean, you could do Mr. Bagwell's method and just grind that up and just drag on the other side and just have it almost like chisel edge like manner. More research when I was doing on that particular grinding method that he rest in peace, Mr. Bagwell used to do for his sharpening method is there were actually cultures that used that similar method that looks like as if the blade is going to be like chisel grinded, but it's not. It actually does strengthen the edge, but that's a story for a different time. Absolutely love this. Like I said, I don't know what my career path is going to be, but we will know soon enough. And once that's determined, if my path is here, like on the right path here in the US, I would love to EDC this just for everyday purposes. I mean, fuck, you could use, it's not, I always tell all my students this, but if you carry a blade for self-defense, you're a moron. The knife, first and foremost, should be used for utilitarian purposes, and this blade is perfect for utilitarian purpose. I mean, it's like I could even probably cook with this, and not to mention for box cutting or whatever you need, leather opening, cutting chutes, or even making some Kindle sticks. You can even do whatever you need with this particular blade. At the same time, it's a blade that you could also use, if need be, for defensive applications, or if there's a war, you can even use this for offensive application as fighting use. So it's a multitude, I say this quite often, but it's a blade specifically that can be utilized for a multitude of applications instead of just one method. So with that said, I highly recommend it. If you can find it, this is the Szabo Jaws by Mr. Fred Perrin. Man, what can I say? I mean, I just am in love with this blade. I'm just in love, and I absolutely adore this. Now, when it comes to Mr. Perrin's work, not a stranger. Neither are any of our brothers in contact. Key features that makes Mr. Perrin's blades different is they were one of the very first that were specifically tailored towards NPE use, which is, for those of you who don't know the acronym, is non-permissive environment. Nowadays, we got all the awesome brothers and who actually do teach NPE as a regular day thing. But when it comes to the OG, the original, who pretty much, excuse me, that's a message, who pretty much pioneered more blades specifically tailored towards that sector of operation, you have to give Mr. Perrin a huge credit. He had pretty much made that, when it comes to especially when like blades specifically designed for that use, he was one of the very first to tailor towards that, versus when everybody was still like, quick, put a fucking tech lock on that. It's like, yeah, don't think so. So thank you for watching, guys. I got a training here soon with Guro Jee, and we will get some sparring footages for you guys to see today. But yeah, it's man, it's like, I love this blade, and it's old. I mean, whoever actually owned this before me took real good care of it. I mean, it's only thing that I can see right now on this, I don't see any issues. I mean, the finish is just still perfect. Not to mention the edge and everything. So this is just perfect as is. The handle material, man, I just not quite sure if that's G10 or, but definitely high carbon steel. Love it. Guro Jee's here, so time to rock and roll. Catch you guys later.